When you're scrolling through endless laptop options, the biggest fear is ending up with a machine that looks great on paper but feels like a compromise once you actually plug it in. I've spent the last few weeks juggling a couple of laptops in a small apartment, testing how they handle long gaming sessions, quick video edits, and the occasional Zoom call. My goal with this review is simple: help you decide whether the ASUS ROG Strix Scar 15, 2021 really earns its premium price tag, or if you'd be better off looking elsewhere. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have with a high-end gaming notebook is the balance between raw power and everyday practicality. The Scar 15 packs a top-tier RTX 3080 GPU and a Ryzen 7 5800H, which sounds like a dream for 4K ray-traced titles, but those components also drive heat and power consumption. If you plan to game on a coffee table in a bedroom, you need to know whether the cooling system actually keeps the machine usable, or if you'll be forced into a constant fan whine soundtrack. Conversely, if you're a content creator who switches between gaming and rendering 1080p footage, you care more about how fast the SSD and RAM stay responsive under multitasking pressure. Let's talk about the day-to-day experience. Unboxing the Scar 15 feels like opening a small, well-packed toolbox. The chassis is a brushed metal mix with the signature ROG lighting strips, which are subtle enough not to scream gamer the moment you walk into a co-working space. The 15.6-inch screen is a 300Hz IPS panel with a 3 milliseconds response time. In practice, that translates to buttery smooth motion in fast shooters like Valorant, but even in slower, more cinematic games the high refresh rate makes the image feel less choppy than a typical 60Hz panel. I tested it with a 1080p 144Hz monitor for comparison, and the laptop's display held its own. The colors are vivid, and the 1080p resolution keeps the GPU from being bottlenecked. Battery life is where many gaming laptops stumble, and the Scar 15 is no exception. With the RTX 3080 running at its boost clock, you'll be looking at roughly 2 hours of continuous gameplay before the charger becomes a must-have accessory. That's fine if you mostly game while plugged in, but for anyone hoping to pull a portable gaming session on a train, it's a real limitation. On the flip side, the 1TB PCIe SSD boots Windows in under 10 seconds and loads large game worlds almost instantly, which is a huge win for anyone who hates waiting. Thermals are a frequent point of contention, especially with the liquid metal branding. In my 90-minute stress test playing Cyberpunk 2077 on high settings, the CPU and GPU temperatures hovered in the low 80s Celsius, and the fan curve kicked in with a noticeable but not obnoxious whine. The laptop never throttled enough to cause frame rate drops, which is a relief if you're sensitive to performance dips during competitive matches. However, the cooling system does make the chassis warm to the touch on the left side, so you'll want a lap desk or a hard surface if you're using it for extended periods without a stand. One practical strength that often goes under the radar is the perky RGB keyboard with an Opti-Mechanical switch design. The keys feel crisp, and the actuation point is lighter than most mechanical keyboards, which reduces finger fatigue during marathon sessions. The lighting zones can be customized via the ROG Armory software, but the software itself is a bit clunky. You'll spend a few minutes figuring out the layout before you get the look you want. Still, if you already love customizing lighting effects, the keyboard is a genuine perk. Now, who should actually consider buying this laptop? If you're a serious competitive gamer who values a high refresh rate display, needs the RTX 3080 for future-proofing, and primarily plays while plugged into power, the Scar 15 offers a compelling package. The 16 GB of DDR4 RAM is enough for most modern games and multitasking, and the 1TB SSD provides ample room for large titles and creative assets. It's also a solid choice for entry-level video editing. The GPU accelerates rendering in Adobe Premiere, and the CPU's 8 cores handle encoding without choking. On the other hand, if you're a casual gamer who mostly streams at 1080p, or you prioritize portability over raw horsepower, you might be better served by a thinner Ultrabook with a mid-range GPU. The Scar 15's weight, around 2.3 kilograms, and its short battery life make it less ideal for frequent travel. Likewise, if you're on a strict budget, the price premium for the RTX 3080 and high refresh screen can be hard to justify when a laptop with an RTX 3070 can still run most games at high settings while costing considerably less. A couple of hidden trade-offs are worth mentioning. The laptop ships with Windows 10 Home but includes a free upgrade to Windows 11 when it becomes widely available. While the upgrade path is smooth, you'll need to allocate a few gigabytes of storage for the OS change, which slightly trims the usable SSD space. Also, the Thunderbolt 4 port is absent, limiting external GPU or high-speed dock options something.